Hello, vinyl community. Mike, Guitar Player 07 here, coming at you live with another vinyl record video. And today I am here with the one, the only Tunes Van Zant, as they like to call him, Chris from Tunes from the Man Cave.
And by they, of course, meaning me. I'm the only one who calls me that.
We both have our tunes and a brew, as Chris always likes to say. So cheers to that.
Cheers, you guys. Hope you're all having a great time and staying safe and quarantining and practicing the whole social distancing thing and not buying up all the damn toilet paper.
Yeah, there we go. Pretty much. That's one thing I don't understand is the toilet paper. But anyway, that's not what this video is about. So, we are going to do a video that's similar to one that we always love and cherish in the vinyl community from the one and only Mazzy. Mazzy has encouraged some people to do some of his similar video ideas when he's talking about some albums and artists in regards to cities and all that stuff. His contest that he had was having everybody do their own whack-a-mole. I had so much fun doing that whack-a-mole.
I did too. Yeah. Cheers. Hope you're taking care out there in Seattle, my brother.
Yeah.
Cheers.
And it was so much fun that me and Chris wanted to do it again. So we're kind of doing that. Of course, due to the fact I know what's behind Chris, it's all his jazz stuff. So he's going to be pulling jazz stuff.
You're right. It is. Everything behind me's jazz.
And
I have to go there to get to anything else. And I'm old, fat, lazy, and it's late. So that shit ain't happening.
Yeah, I mean, all behind me, this is all my grandfather's records, and this is all my collection that you're able to see. I'm going to try to do the stuff that you're able to see in frame, so you know I'm not pulling legs here. We're going to do 5 each. The only other thing that's really fancy since my last whack-a-mole when you were able to see everything is that I have another cube that's full because I got my uncle's records now, or 86 of them, because my cousin has the other half of it, or what's left of his collection. And I got a few more box sets in my box set area. Really, nothing any fancy. But, notably, I got the Wedding album by John Lennon and Yoko Ono, which isn't the best album, but for the price it was with almost all the original inserts.
That's terrible, dude, but I have it too.
Yeah. I'm also a semi-Beatles completist.
It's terrible. I was happy to get it, and I was happy to own it and everything, and still am, but it's terrible.
Yoko, John.
Oh, my God. So bad. Yeah, it makes me want to scream my damn self, pull my beard out with my bare hand.
But yeah, the notable things were I got that, and I got All Things Must Pass from my man here. He helped hook me up with that. And as I said with the whack-a-mole video I did for Mazzy, he inspired me to get to Silly Symphony's box set. Well, I finally listened to the whole thing, and now that's up there. But anyway, so Chris, you're the guest, so you are going first. Pick one.
Okay. I'll try to do it without looking the way Mazzy does it.
Yeah, we'll be cool like Mazzy.
Oh, nice. I got a Whistle Stop. Kenny Dorham. Blue Note. Tell you what, I'll get rid of that so that you guys can see. This, believe it or not, for those of you who follow my channel, you guys know how much I love my original pressings. This is one I do not have an original pressing of. This is one of those Music Matters 45 RPM 2 LP, which, believe it or not, still go for over $100. So, yeah, it's one of those things. But Hank Mobley, Kenny Drew, Paul Chambers, and Philly Joe Jones, it's a freaking classic. And one of these days it'll belong to one of my subscribers or one of my friends. Like, maybe you might, because I hope to replace it with an original pressing someday. But it's freaking killer.
Don't get me wrong. I love the original pressings. And a couple jazz albums I have original pressings of I love. And a couple of them you hooked me up with. But the with jazz, I'd rather the original pressings, but I'm not going to be that's the one genre where I'm like, if I have originals, cool. If I don't, I'm okay with the reissues because of the price, as you've talked about multiple times.
That's damn near as good a reissue as you can get, though. And basically the reason that I had gotten that one was because, I mean, it's like I said, it's like $100, but the originals of that album now are going for like $1,000. And I ain't balling that hard right now, and I still just really wanted the album, and I wanted as good a version as I could get of it, so I bought that one. So if I ever get lucky and luck into the original for not $1,000, then yeah, which has happened to me plenty of times with plenty of albums, but we'll see.
Saxophone Colossus.
Oh yeah, exactly. I got that for a box of classic rock. So I mean, hey, so it happens. Your turn, my man.
Absolutely. Now, you can't see my jazz all the way up there, but I will probably try to angle the camera so I could do a whack-a-mole for jazz, because I have to do – it'd be sacrilegious to do a video with Chris and not have at least one jazz album. And I hope I don't do what I did last time when I did Mazzy's contest and pull Herb Alpert again. But
oh, yeah.
Everybody shits on him, but we both
I
have to
still
talk
have
about
the
it in
weird
depth.
music. It's up here somewhere. I still have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I
a cool. I mean, it's a cool album cover, and fun story is the lady who's on the album cover was pregnant at the time. Most people I don't think know that, but she was totally pregnant at the time.
Yeah, I have almost every 60s Tijuana Brass album. Not gonna lie.
I've had them.
They were in a box of a collection that I got, and almost all of them are in near mint condition, which is something you don't see Herb Alpert with.
Do you know how much money Herb Alpert is worth, my friend?
400 and something thousand, for something, I believe.
$800 million. Herb Alpert is $800 million because
Okay.
he's an executive now. So now he gets all that executive money, but he's totally worth $800 million. So I doubt very seriously Herb Alpert gives a shit about what any of us who are too cool to like his records in the vinyl community think about him. He's like, I wake up every morning, you guys are sweating toilet paper, I wipe my ass with 20s. So screw you and the coronavirus, I don't care. Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
I do enjoy him. He's not my regular spin and not my first choice of jazz, but as you just said, he's worth a lot, and he's very successful, and he's got us all beat. So
Kudos to him.
Yeah, and he also has created his own record label, A&M. A stands for Alpert, for those who don't know. So,
Yeah.
all right. All right. I'm not looking. Let's see what I pull out here. Let's see. All right, let's see what I got. Okay. We got Mannheim Steamroller.
Oh, cool.
We got Mannheim Steamroller's Fresh Air 6. This was actually the very first Mannheim Steamroller album I owned on vinyl record. And when I got this, it was actually sealed. But I cracked that puppy. And it actually came sealed in this bag. It didn't have like shrink wrap or anything like that. But
yeah, I've seen it. Records are meant to be played, guys. Don't keep them sealed.
Yeah.
Keep them sealed for somebody who will appreciate them.
Yeah. Beautiful gatefold here, as you could kind of see there. I know it's shiny and it's the light terrible, but yeah, this is Fresh Air 6, as I said. This came out in the 80s. I forget which year. 86. The CD version has a different album cover. I prefer that album cover versus this one. This is all about like, this one is based around, I mean, it's all an instrumental album. It's a new wave or new age instrumental album, as all Mannheim Steamroller is for the most part. There's very few stuff that he has lyrics on. Chip Davis, the composer of the group. This is all about like the Roman gods and Olympia and Olympics and all that stuff. There's actually a song called Olympics on here. There's a song called Rhodes on here. It's all around Greek mythology, the inspiration. It's a very good album. I prefer the CD album cover, as I said, but American Gramophone, and I'm happy to say that I have gotten a handful of other Mannheim Steamroller albums on vinyl record since, including an original pressing and the 35th anniversary reissue of their debut Christmas album that put Chip Davis and Mannheim Steamroller under map, regardless of what people said about him not being successful from that. And even though the Fresh Air series was more popular at the time, Christmas series threw him out of the water. And whoever told Chip Davis that he was not going to be successful with Christmas albums are kicking themselves square in the nuts. Now, yeah. And I actually got to meet Mannheim Steamroller this past winter. So I have an autographed copy of the 35th anniversary.
Cool. All right. Is it on me for number 2?
It is. And by the way, we're going to be challenging to see who finishes their beer first in this video.
Oh, ain't no way in hell I lose that unless you just showed that while I'm talking. Which I won't put past you, you sneaky bastard. All right, number 2 for me. Oh, cool. The Jackie McLean Quintet. This is on Jubilee Records. This is a hard one to find by Jackie McLean. It's not as expensive as the Blue Note stuff. But because it's not Blue Note, but as you guys can see, that sleeve is pristine. It's super clean. It's featuring Donald Byrd on trumpet and Mal Waldron on piano, Doug Watkins on bass, and Ronald Tucker on drums. This album is freaking stellar. It just is. Jubilee label.
I love that album cover.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's awesome. And you can find one for relatively cheap too, man. Yeah, if I see another one, I mean, you're familiar with Jackie McLean. I know you are.
I mean, I've probably heard a thing or two on Spotify when I've streamed him when you've talked about him, but I don't know him well.
Right. But this is going to be one of the ones that you can get for cheaper than the Blue Note stuff because it's not Blue Note. So eyes open, buddy, and if I see another one, I'll snag it for you.
That album's, I mean, I hadn't heard that album, but that album sold me just on the album cover.
Yeah, the album covers kick ass. It sold me just because I had heard 4 or 5 Jackie McLean albums before I had heard this one. So I already knew the dude was legit before, and then I had a chance to own this one, and by then I'm blind buying this stuff. Yeah. So it's just those things. Once, especially for jazz, once I determine that I like an artist, I'll blind buy after that. So I do, and it hasn't really failed me so far. So
okay,
it is.
And that's not to be mistaken with Don McLean, by the way, for all those who don't know jazz.
Don McLean. I love Don McLean.
I have his American Pie album from my grandfather's collection somewhere, which is actually where I'm going to be pulling out of next. I don't know what I'm going to grab from his collection. His is all over the place with records. But we'll see what I pull. Let's see what I got here. Okay, good. Okay, this one's easy for me. Johnny Cash sings the ballads of the True West. We all know that on top of solo artists, we talk about my 3 favorite bands, Dream Theater, Led Zeppelin, and the Beatles. But easily the favorite solo artist, Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for those who don't know who Johnny Cash is, you probably should log off now. You are absolutely, obviously lost if you don't know who Johnny Cash is. So there's no doubt.
Or at least no Ring of Fire, which is not on this, but.
Right. Yeah. If you don't know who Johnny Cash is, you definitely we're probably not your guys.
So as I showed you, this is the back cover. It's just a note about what Johnny Cash has to say about the album track listing. But I opened this gatefold, but Chris had something to say, so I let him talk. But what's very interesting about this gatefold is you'll see there's photos of John Wesley Harding here, and a bunch of other historical images in here. This entire gatefold is talking about the history of the True West, and also talks about some of the slang up here that were used in the Old West that are used in the song, so you know what the heck Johnny Cash is saying. And it's just a history lesson at the same time. This is one of the coolest gatefolds Johnny Cash has because of how much you learn from it. It also had the track listing on top. What'd you say, Chris?
It's cool. It really is. The whole gatefold is fascinating.
Yeah. And, this didn't have a lot of hits. The most popular stuff off here, or the most popular song was 25 Minutes to Go, which most people know from the Folsom Prison live concert.
Yeah.
But
which subsequently is still, I know it's the trendy pick, but it's my favorite Cash record. It is. It's just, it's perfection on wax. So I love it.
It might easily be one of my favorite live albums of all time. Well, actually, it is. I just think it might be number 1.
Very possibly for me. And that's even despite my affinity for live jazz records. I might still like it. It might still be my favorite. So,
well, what's nice about at Folsom Prison is not like the Beatles live or the Allman Brothers and all that stuff where you got all these little girls screaming. It's just
right.
It's very similar to the jazz albums in that regard.
Right, and it's a family show, so you can't say hell or shit or anything like that. So it's nice.
Yeah.
Love the Folsom Prison. I love the San Quentin album, and then first American Recordings record with Rick Rubin blew my freaking mind. It's so good. All the American Recordings albums are great, and of course Orange Blossom Special and Mean as Hell and so many of the other ones. Just so many great ones.
Well, Mean as Hell is the reissue version of this.
Right.
But
so they're awesome.
Yeah. The other notable tracks on here that are not as popular, but Mr. Garfield is fantastic and Sam Hill is fantastic. Stampede is very fun.
I think the album is best experienced as a whole rather than like streaming a song or two, because if you listen to the entire album start to finish, it tells the entire story and it makes sense in context. That's just my opinion.
No, I would agree. There's a couple songs like 25 Minutes to Go and all that you could do separately, and Mr. Garfield is one too. But cool. On the CD version, it says narration 1, 2, 3, 4 when you get to CD. However, on this, it doesn't. But there are multiple narrations on this. And, yeah. You mentioned Orange Blossom Special. That was the very first studio album next to American 4 that I ever heard by Johnny Cash.
Nice. I love America. I love the entire American series. The American series is Johnny Cash taking everybody else's songs and then whooping their ass at their own songs. That's basically entire series is, and he really he did that.
Well, and even not even just his cover songs, but even original stuff. I mean,
Sure.
oh, that's not the right album. I'm pulling out an album that you know very well because I got it from you, so that tells you what album it is right for the way for you. But the sound of Johnny Cash, there's a song called Delia's Gone on here that he does on the American Recording Series, which is killer. Both of them are fantastic.
Yeah, the one on the American recordings I actually like better. But yes, absolutely.
I like them both in their own right because I love how in the American Recordings albums, it's a little bit darker and more somber and more personal.
Acoustic, his voice has changed over those decades. It's just, man, it's perfect. It is. It's perfect. I played it for my wife, and my wife's like, "Oh my God, that song's so messed up."
Well, it is.
It's messed up, but it's brilliant. So,
yeah, but I must say, when I first spun that record after you gave it to me this past August, in the VCLT package, I must say that Delia's Gone was of the songs I didn't know was the song that stood out to me. On top of Indian House Now.
That's one of my favorite Johnny Cash songs, period. Honestly.
Yeah.
First time I shot her in the spine. Hard to watch her suffer, but with the second shot she died. Delia's gone. One more round. Delia's gone. Sorry, guys, you had to listen to me sing. My bad. I've been drinking in this late.
Yeah. But talking about, God damn it. Okay, fine.
You suck.
I'm not going to give my response to that on live camera that's going on YouTube.
Save it for after you stop recording.
Oh, I will. Trust me. But you spoke of Orange Blossom Special. That was one of the first 4 records that I got from my grandfather's collection. Did I ever tell you that story on how I got my grandfather's collection?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay. So then you know that was one of the first ones
but
I got.
You can share it for anybody. It's your channel, bro. Share it for anybody who hasn't already.
Yeah, we're off topic, but I'll do it.
Why? I got time. It's not like any of us are going anywhere.
Yeah, true. All right. I'm going to pull every Johnny Cash album out of my grandfather's collection because, 1, I can, and 2, it'll be easier.
That, go to the beer fridge and get another beer.
All right. Yeah, I only have this one and I have water, so I guess I won't be having a beer after this one finishes. But, okay, so I have my grandfather's records collection because now I'm going to tell a story time before Chris gets to his next pick. I'm going to do an abridged version of this. Some people have heard the long version, but I'm going to go abridged because this video doesn't need to be 3 hours long, and me and Chris both could talk like there's no tomorrow. However,
yeah, my wife will kill me.
Ride This Train is the album that got me started on my grandfather's collection because my grandfather noticed that I started loving my music back in middle school when I first started collecting records and all this stuff. Introduced me to Johnny Cash. I learned hits from him, and I borrowed some of his Johnny Cash CDs. I bought my own, and I want to know more than his greatest hits. The song Luther's Boogie, which is the standout album that he showed to me, which I will always have a nostalgic thing for because that was one of the very first songs my grandfather ever introduced me to, which has a very special place in my heart for. And I just want to know more than just the hits and the American 4 album that I knew. And I knew American 5 and I knew America 1 because my grandfather had those 2. But
American 1, I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, I need it on vinyl. I need all the Americans on vinyl. But I was going through discography online about Johnny Cash. We're talking 3-4 years ago, and I wanted to. I'm a sucker for train songs. I have a model train collection that I started back. My dad started me off with that as a kid. I still have a model train collection. I don't really grab stuff anymore, but I still have them and still run them every once in a while. But I'm a sucker for a train song. And I saw this album, Ride This Train, and I was like, I want to hear this album. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to my grandfather. I was like, do you know this album? And this was one of the 2 albums. The other album I was asking my grandfather about was Everybody Loves a Nut because the album cover intrigued me.
Yeah.
So my grandfather said this. He's like, I know I Ride This Train. I own it. But Everybody Loves a Nut, I never even heard of. And I was like, well, that album came out in 1966. He's like, that's why. I didn't know really new music of that time because I was on the USS Kearsarge in the Navy in Vietnam. So, okay, for the Vietnam War. He wasn't in Vietnam, but
right.
Well, you guys know what I mean. So anyway, he didn't know that album. I familiarized myself with that album later on. But he said, let me go through my record collection and let me see if I can find it. If I can, the next time I see you, I'm going to let you borrow it. Well, he did. I got this album. One of the 2 copies that my grandfather had of Johnny Cash's Greatest Hits Volume 2, because for whatever reason he had 2 copies. He brought over the Walk the Line studio album, not the movie soundtrack, and he also brought over Orange Blossom Special.
Love it.
Those ended up being the very first 4 albums I ever got from my grandfather's collection, those 4 albums, because I ended up being able to keep them, because it was one of those family gatherings. We always would gather on Memorial Day and all those other holiday type things, family barbecue kind of thing. And that day he brought those over, and I didn't know if he wanted them back. So I went up to my room and I listened to all 4 of them back to back. Loved every freaking moment. Loved them. And this is before I even had sentimental value attached to them. I just freaking loved the hell out of these albums. So I listened to them all, and then I go out to the fire pit by the pool area at my house where my grandparents and my parents and sister were sitting. And I told my grandfather I listened to these albums. And he said, these are fantastic. I love them. And he's like, and I went into details about specific songs. Like I talked about, I don't remember what song I talked about in this one, but I talked about It Ain't Me, Babe from Orange Blossom Special, the Bob Dylan cover, because I never even heard the Bob Dylan cover or original until after that album.
I heard the first 2.
What's that?
I heard the Cash version before I heard the Dylan version. I did.
Yeah, so we're in the same boat in that regards. I remember talking mainly about Orange Blossom Special because that was the one that stuck out to me most. I Walked the Line. I knew the hits off it. But the thing that I later learned about this album is that a lot of them are re-recordings, which I now don't enjoy as much. But I still have the sentimental value to this album.
Still great songs, though.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Understand You're a Man, though, is the original version on this album. It's fantastic. But Orange Blossom Special is the one that really stood out to me of all of these. And then Ride This Train. Now, at the time, I didn't really fully understand the storyline of I Ride This Train or Ride This Train because just like the Battles of the True West, there's narrations in between the songs, and they tell you the story. It's pretty much Johnny Cash going around walking or riding the train around the continental United States telling stories about what's going on. And pretty much after I told about the stuff that stood out to me at that time of the music, which unfortunately I can't even remember half of them I talked about. It was just so long ago. He asked me what I thought about this, that, and the other thing. We and him went on for at least 20 minutes talking about just these 4 albums. Loved every moment of it. And I loved the albums. And it's the stereo 2i. It's original pressings of most of these, if not all of them. Beautiful stuff. And later on in the night, I went and got the records from my room, gave them to my grandfather. I was like, here are your records back. And then he said to me, how much did you really enjoy these? And I said, as I said before, I loved every moment of them. I was able to tell you about the songs. I mean, what, right? Pretty much kind of idea. And he said, they're yours.
Yeah. Your grandfather basically handed you his collection a few at a time. So, which is awesome.
Well, these 4 started it off because after that, he said, these are yours. And then he further went to say that if you want to see what other stuff I have, I'm not really listening to them anymore, but you can convert some of them to CD for me. So I pretty much started off with those 4 albums that I showed right there. And then what ended up happening is I would go over to his house every so often and get a pile of records every so often, and he would tell me which ones he wanted on record or on CD and tell me which ones he didn't, which he didn't mention if he didn't want them on CD. And then he would tell me stories about some of the albums and all that stuff. Some of them I haven't shared on the VC videos, and some of them I've shared interpersonally. I don't even know if I told you the ones about Peter, Paul, and Mary and the Righteous Brothers, but if I didn't, Chris, after I'm done with the video, I got to share those because those are cool stories. But yeah, I got almost all of his record collection while he was alive. There was about 20 that of the 12-inch albums I didn't get, I got after he passed, and then all his 45s I got after he passed, which the 45s I was really disappointed about because those were stuff that he bought when he was my age and younger. I would have really loved to hear some of the stories with those, but it is what it is. But I do know the 2 singles 45s that were his first 2 records he ever bought, which was Elvis Presley's Don't Be Cruel, Town Dog on the B-side, and then the other one, and I don't remember which one was first and which one was second, but the other one is Frankie Lyman and Teenagers, Why Do Fools Fall in Love, with whatever the B-side is.
Fools fall in love. Yep. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm actually jealous of that for you because my grandparents, I told you I've got my grandfather's Me and Bobby McGee, Janis Joplin 45. that's it. And I know he owned many more records than that. But basically what I had been told by my dad and whatnot was that his siblings and whatnot had gotten to all those records beforehand. So there's no telling who owns them now, but my dad doesn't. And so the ones that I have gotten from my family are just the ones that I got from my mom and dad, who of course are still with me, not only still with me, but live on the same road as I do. So yeah, so it's one of those deals, but I have their records. A couple of them I listen to, some of them I don't, most of them are beat. Because my mom and dad's whole thing, Mike, as I told you earlier before we even went on the air, was, well, we listen to ours. I'm like, well, yeah, but nowadays we manage to listen to them and take care of them. Who'd have ever thought that was possible? I mean, oh my goodness. Yeah, while you guys were rolling up joints on yours, we're running ours through spin cleans and putting them in MoFi sleeves. Like, I don't know what y'all are talking about, but
yeah,
is what it is. But I'm glad just to have them. So
yeah, I know there's a couple records that my grandfather had that are no longer here, because I have an inner sleeve for John Legend's Imagine, but no record or no and cover jacket. Don't know where that went.
Right.
There's a Nitty Gritty Dirt Band one that doesn't go along with any of the other Nitty Gritty Dirt Band albums I have. So we had another one. I don't know where that went. There's some albums that I have just covers and no albums for, and then some of them I have only albums for, but no jackets. So,
dang.
But
oh my, I got a Meatloaf Bat Out of Hell album jacket, no record, and then I got Grease soundtrack, 2 records, no jacket. And it's like, you guys just really didn't give a damn.
It's funny. I have Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell from my grandfather's collection with everything. And I have the Grease soundtrack from my mom's collection with everything. So
there you have it. But I went on and bought my own Grease soundtrack just so that I could have the jacket. And because I love the freaking movie and the songs, I could really embarrass myself with you guys for singing the Grease soundtrack. I'm just saying. But I probably couldn't because I have no shame. But anyway.
I'm looking forward to the day that me and you meet in person so we could spin the Grease soundtrack. The Marshall Mathers or the Slim Shady LP and Abbey Road.
There you go. I'll embarrass myself to all 3. I promise.
Yeah. All right. Wow. I didn't realize that my one Johnny Cash pick was going to go in such a tangent, but I mean, Johnny Cash.
He's worth it.
Absolutely. All right. Pick number 3 for you, my good friend.
Pick number. Let me reach. I haven't reached down here yet. Let's see what I got down here. Oh, okay, cool. I got Undiluted, the Wynton Kelly Trio on Verve.
Okay.
Kelly had played with so many legends, but on this one, Paul Chambers and Jimmy Cobb, and that's a trio type setting. It's an original pressing. The gatefold is immaculate. It still makes that little crisp sound when you open it up. I've always kind of sort of connected with Wynton Kelly, Verve label, original press. I always connected with Wynton Kelly for a couple reasons. For one, his music's beautiful. It's wonderful. And he played on a lot of classics. And 2, some of you might not even know this about me, but I have epilepsy. And Wynton Kelly had epilepsy. The difference between he and I is I got treated, I'm doing well, and Wynton Kelly actually died from a seizure at the age of 39 from his bout with epilepsy. So anytime I listen to Wynton Kelly or think about Wynton Kelly, I think to myself, I was luckier than he was, but yeah, so it's kind of a bittersweet kind of thing. It kind of makes me kind of sad because you guys know how it is. It's always rough to hear about someone going through struggles, but it's really rough to hear about someone going through struggles when you can relate to them. So yeah, that makes it that much more. That makes it hit home that much harder. But yeah, sorry to take this off on a sad tone. I didn't mean to, but I could relate to it, so I figured why not. So that was my 3rd choice.
I don't remember if you said it in a YouTube video or if you told me personally, but I did know, I knew that about you. But,
right. I've done a lot of videos and I've drank a lot of beer, so I've probably forgotten.
I'm gonna move the camera angle so you can see I'm not BSing you guys here, but I have to choose a jazz album now, and I'm hoping I'm not gonna give you a groin shot. All right, I guess I am. I'll squat a little bit. So, oh my God! So stop that, Chris. Stop that immediately.
I gotta stop drinking.
Clearly. All right, let's see. You know, this area of my jazz section I know has no Herb Alpert, so I'm going to choose one of these ones.
There you go.
All right, what do I got here? What do I got? Let me read camera angle here, and then we'll pull it out. Oh, this is killer. Les McCann and Eddie Harris at the Swiss Movement, recorded at the Montreal Jazz Festival, Switzerland.
Nice stuff.
This was the first live jazz album I ever heard.
It's good. It's really good.
Yeah. I was contacted by one of my professors saying, I know this person is trying to get rid of their record collection, but they were offering it to the school. The school can't use it. So do you want them? This was one of those records.
Fuck yeah. Obviously.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite live jazz.
Giving me jazz.
What's that?
Earned mine the hard way.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite live albums by jazz. This, like, Mercy, Mercy, Mercy by Cannonball Adderley. That's a killer one. Another live killer album would be, obviously, Ellington at Newport.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, Chris, if you're familiar with Rachel the Music Man. Are you familiar with the channel?
Mm-hmm.
She's branching out into jazz, so I have you to thank for giving me my first recommendation so I could give them right back to her.
Nice. That's awesome. That's one of the many reasons I ever started doing YouTube videos, man. So anytime I can hear somebody tell me that they got into something through me or that they passed along something through me, that makes it worth it. It makes it worth all the shitty ass hating comments that I get. So
yeah, I did that. And also she's a big Beatles fan, so she's branched out into jazz and loves Beatles. So she's right up your alley.
So like my kind of person. Yeah, awesome. Yeah.
So shout out to Rachel the Music Man. Love her stuff. She's great. I've been exchanging emails with her the past week or two. But yeah, I mean, if you don't know who these two individuals are, you gotta check them out. Or Absolutely. as Chris, you like to do it. You got to get them into your life.
Absolutely.
So
trademark. By the way, you'll be hearing from my attorney very soon, sir. That's the system to convene under the current conditions.
Yeah, but this is a killer one.
Repeated sometime next year.
You'll be hearing on the TV ads, like it's gonna be like this. Have you and your loved ones said the term, I gotta get you into your life? You are entitled to compensation.
Oh man, you gotta be choking up over here. Hey, all of that's getting ready to happen, sir. Hire an attorney.
Oh, this is a great video. This is amazing. I hope people actually watch it.
Right, and if they don't, we don't give a damn. We hope you do, though. Cheers, guys.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's great to talk with you, buddy. It's great to talk.
You're one of my favorite people in the VC, so.
Oh, boy. Well, you have great taste.
Both musically and individuals. All right. Pick 4, Chris. What's your 4th?
Have you picked your 3rd yet?
Yeah, it's a Eddie Harris and Les McCann.
Yeah, you just did that. We just got through talking about it. Okay, I'm sorry, but we also had a huge laugh-a-thon about you trademarking my totally stolen song. So,
hey, Chris.
Yo.
Have another.
Oh, I will. Best believe. That's coming. That's happening. Oh, yeah.
Chris, you keep pulling from the bottom. Why don't you pull something that we're able to see you pull from?
Okay, sure. Why not?
Not that I care. It doesn't matter. I'm just busting your balls, but.
Well, I mean, you got a good point, though. I have been pulling from the bottom. Oh, cool. Grant Green, Gooden's Corner.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I had actually shared that on the last YouTube video I did, which has been like a month ago. So, I mean, most of you guys probably haven't seen it. Mike, I have no doubt that you saw the video because you see all my videos. But it's Grant Green, Sonny Clark, Sam Jones, Louis Hayes. It's a Japanese pressing from the 70s, if I'm not mistaken. Grant Green did a bunch of albums and a bunch of sessions in the 60s that because of his proclivity and his, the frequency of which he recorded not only his own albums, but as well as on other artists' albums, he was basically Blue Note's go-to guitarist for years. And so these sessions, this session, along with the Nigeria session that came out not too long ago, and some of the other ones got shelved for so long, and they're, they started to see the light. And this is one of those ones. And you listen to this one, though, I can't think how in the hell this one ever got shelved, but it did, because it's freaking phenomenal. And Sonny Clark, pianist, one of my all-time favorite jazz pianists, died in his 30s, as so many of my all-time favorite jazz legends did. Just died so freaking young. Everybody talks about the rock and roll musicians, the 27 Club. Everybody talks about all of these, but I promise you, anything you can come up with for the jazz musicians trumps that shit. I can absolutely. There's just not is around it. But this is a phenomenal album. Grant Green is not one of those ones who died in their 20s or 30s. He died a little older, late 50s, if I'm not mistaken. Still perfectly young man, but this is a great album. The artwork, pretty cool. I got this in Orlando, Florida, about 2 months ago, right before that Rona parked everybody at the house.
Mm-hmm.
So
now,
awesome.
Grant Green is one I keep hearing about from you, and I believe Chris Has the Spins even mentioned him. I've been meaning to check him out. I just haven't seen his stuff in a while, and I also, for whatever reason, hadn't Spotify'd it. So.
Right. Yeah. Chris Has the Spins. If you're watching, buddy, cheers to you and Margot, my friend, for one. And for two, has messaged me, I can't even tell you how many times, about, hey, man, if you upgrade any of those Grant Green reissues you have to originals, keep me in mind. And so I will. What's that?
I hope that you will keep both Chris and me in mind, and we'll split 50-50.
Of course I will, my friend. Of course I will.
I mean, he gets first dibs. He gets first dibs, but any that he doesn't want, I need some Grant Green too.
Most of my Grant Greens are original, so I've only got like a couple that I could, upgrade upon. But hey, y'all are my.
Well, Chris asked first. He gets first dibs. But now, question for you, because Mr. Jazz Man, you know it all. In regards to that, you said that Grant Green was one of the main guitar people that Blue Note was going to. Would you say that Kenny Burrell was one of those too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah, I would say he's among the 2 or 3 like premium, like, guitarists that are on most Blue Note sessions round about those days. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, those guys just seem to pop up on all Blue Note albums.
Okay. As you can see, I already started touching up my records to be able to see what I'm going to grab blindly here. Hopefully I don't pull out something stupid. You can't pull anything stupid because you only have your jazz albums.
Hey, well, I mean, depending on who you're talking to, there's a lot of people that hate jazz, my friend. There's a lot of people watching your channel right now thinking, why in the hell did you pull up this jazz-loving hippie right now?
All right. My next grab was this, Chicago 2.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, buddy. I know a lot of Chicago songs.
What's that?
I know a lot of Chicago songs.
Yeah, I like Chicago. I don't mind them. They're not my go-to, but I've never been disappointed by most Chicago albums. There's 2 Chicago albums I've been disappointed by of the ones that I've heard so far, Hot Streets and Chicago 10. But,
I like that they're a rock and roll band that had horns. That's what I like. As a jazz fan, I like that a rock and roll band so frequently included horns. That's cool to me.
Yeah, and I think Blood, Sweat, and Tears did the same thing, which is pretty cool.
Yes, absolutely. So to me, as a person who loves jazz as deeply as I do, to find a rock and roll band that so easily and so effortlessly incorporated the horns is awesome to me.
Yeah. So pretty much the main hit off this was 25 or 6 to 4, which I knew before looking at it. I wanted to make sure there was no other big hits on it, but that was pretty much the main one. And this was one of the 4 of their studio albums that was a double LP. So, of course, that's fantastic. We got the Stereo 2i there. Unfortunately, only half of this record has a sleeve at the moment. I'm still working on getting MoFi sleeves in all my records. Can't really order or get any new ones because of the situation we're in, but that's beside the point. But, this has the original booklet in it, which is fantastic. And it turns into a poster if you fold it all out, which I'm not going to do, but.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of tough to get MoFi sleeves or pretty much anything vinyl related right now. It's just tough. So I've been wanting to use some of this time to finish off, because I don't even have MoFi sleeves on all my records. I don't know if you knew that. I've got MoFi sleeves on almost all my records, but I still need to finish the deal. But I can't get any right now, so it's hey, and I'm having a hard time getting extra cleaning supplies for my records. So
Yeah,
it is.
in regards to external sleeves, I have almost all my records in external sleeves. MoFi sleeves is another story. Most of my grandfather's collection is missing external sleeves. Half of my uncle's collection and all of my dad's and half of my mom's are missing them.
Right.
And
When I
some of my classical albums.
collected, my mom and dad's collection had absolutely no outer sleeves, and they had very few inner sleeves. And I'm just sitting there like, what in the hell is wrong with you guys?
Yeah. But fun fact, this is one of the very first records I ever owned. I was given it. I didn't buy this, but one of the very first times it's in my collection.
Oh, I was given my copy. Yeah, so we're in the same boat on that one. I was given my copy of that one. But I dig it. I'm not too cool to say that I like some Chicago stuff. So.
Oh, I like Chicago too. I've never been to Chicago. Would love to one day, but.
Oh yeah, I'm going someday, man. That's funny. Chris has the spins. If you're watching this, he and I, way back before this jumped off, had actually talked about meeting up in Chicago someday and like going digging and stopping by some restaurants and everything like that, and meeting up in Chicago because I'd never been, and he goes all the time and loves it. So hey, maybe next year when all this shit gets back to normal, maybe we can make that happen. So we'll see.
Yeah, because this summer you were going to be visiting me in Jersey too, but that didn't happen.
Try my damnedest to make that happen this summer, and now might have to be next. We'll see.
We'll see.
I hope. Yeah, I hope. We'll see. But
yes. So, what is your fifth and final record, my good sir?
Have to try to pick something good, don't I? I have to try to not look and pick something awesome. Let's see. I'll go for another one up top since Mike busted my balls. Aha. Joe Henderson.
Ooh.
In and out.
Joe Henderson, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. It's freaking stellar. Joe Henderson's probably top 3 tenor saxophonists for me. Coltrane, Sonny Rollins, and then probably Joe Henderson. I throw, Jackie McLean, Wayne Shorter, some of these guys also in that conversation. But in terms of Booker Irvin, but oh my God, awesome, reliable body of work. It can't be beat. And so this is a phenomenal album. I don't know if you have this in any way, shape, or form, Mike, in your collection, but it's freaking phenomenal. Kenny Dorham, Richard Davis, Elvin Jones. It's just, yeah, it's Blue Note music at its finest. And the album cover's freaking kick-ass. And as every Blue Note album cover is freaking kick-ass. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things. And it's stellar. And if you don't have it, then figured I'd throw one there real quick. But
yeah, that's one I've been wanting to get my hands on and listen to, but I haven't gotten a chance to yet.
You'll love it. Yeah, I have faith in you. You'll love that one. It's just it's Blue Note. It's Blue Note music at its finest. You can get a Blue Note 80 for like $20. So
love the Blue Note 80s. I want to get cornbread or the cooker. Actually, Tom Ho is cornbread. The cooker is the 80s.
The 80s. That's right.
Yeah.
And the 80s so much better than the 75s. By the way, the 75s are. Ugh.
They seem to be a little bit on the thinner side under wax.
Yeah, and the production quality is just not as good. The 80s are great.
Okay. So I'm going to pull one from my grandfather's collection again. Don't know what I'm going to pull. I'm trying not to look, but I also need to be able to this is a little bit of a stretch for me here, so I'm kind of – but let's see what we got here. We're going to pull out this one. All right, let's see what we got. Oh, no. Okay, this is the one that's not that fancy. The Velvet Moods of Nat King Cole.
I love Nat King Cole.
As do I, but this is not one of my grandfather's cooler records. I'm not making fun of Nat King Cole. I love Nat King Cole myself, too. Mona Lisa, L-O-V-E, freaking killer. I don't know if you're familiar with the Blue Note artist Gregory Porter.
I am.
He did a couple covers of Nat King Cole tunes. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I have a couple of Gregory Porter CDs that I actually in the car because it's some smoother listening with great vocals, and yeah, he does some Nat King Cole stuff. So yeah, it's awesome.
My favorite Gregory Porter album is probably Liquid Spirit or whatever that is. I believe it's called.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's very good. But yeah, I love Gregory Porter.
But yeah, just to name some of the great Nat King Cole tunes that were on this double LP set. I believe it's double LP. Yeah, there's an LP in that one. There's an LP in that one. Yeah, we got double LP here. We got the song Unforgettable, which is fantastic. We got You Leave Me Breathless, Mona Lisa, which is arguably one of his most popular tunes. Ramblin' Rose, which is a lot of people know the Neil Diamond version of that song. Smile. Those Lazy, Crazy, Hazy Days of Summer. That's a good one too. Yeah, Nat King Cole for you.
Oh yeah, I love Nat King Cole.
Yeah, I have a couple of his stuff in my collection too. That's the only one my grandfather had. He, I think that one was one of them. I don't remember. There was a couple of the albums that my grandfather had that were from my great-grandparents' collection that weren't of the 78 and all that stuff, of his of his parents' type of music.
Right.
I believe that might have been one of them.
Oh man, that's sweet. I'd love to have had some of my great-grandparents' stuff. I'm fortunate enough to have met 3 of my 4 great-grandparents, so I know a lot of people around about my age never met any of their great-grandparents. So that's freaking. I always consider myself very lucky in that regard.
I only met 2 of my great-grandparents.
No, I met 3 or 4.
2 of my great-grandparents both died in the 1980s, and the other ones, my great-grandfather died when I was in 4th grade, and my great-grandmother that I met died my senior year of high school.
Yeah, my great-grandfather on my dad's side died in the early 90s. Great-grandmother on my dad's side died in the mid-90s. Great-grandmother on mom's side died in the mid-90s. And my great-grandfather on that side died in the 70s, and I wasn't born until 85. So he's the one I didn't meet. But the other ones, yeah. So I always considered myself fortunate in that regard.
Yeah, I only met my great-grandfather once, but I met my great-grandmother twice. And my great-grandma, the one time I met my great-grandfather, I do remember a thing or two, but that was like 2004, so I was really young. I can't remember too much, but the little bit I do remember, I do truly remember. And yeah, my great-grandmother was on an oxygen tank, a portable oxygen tank, and she, back when we first got her dog, puppy Oliver, our dog's name is Oliver. My great-grandmother was holding her oxygen tank in one hand and pulling a rambunctious puppy in the other hand. I don't remember how old she was when she passed, but she passed only a couple months after she visited Jersey for her last time. But because she lived in Arkansas. But yeah, that's how strong this woman was.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we talked about records that were potentially from my great-grandfather's collection. Now I want to show you something that, and everybody else for that matter, this is one of my 2 irreplaceable records. Every record that's in my collection, even one that I have strong sentimental values of from my grandfather's collection, I've talked about and all this stuff, I could truly get all of them back. It's not the same, but I could truly get them back. But there's 2 records in my collection that are impossible, or I assume nearly impossible to get back. And one of them is this one. This is called Something Else. Now, what's really cool about this album is it's the Dapper Dans of Harmony, Livingston, New Jersey, and it's vocals. It's a cappella music. One of my favorite things on here is the Walt Disney medley they did, because it's a classic Disney because this had to have been recorded in the 60s or the 50s. Now, what's kick-ass about this album, my grandfather didn't remember which voice part it was, but my great-grandfather is singing on this album. In the Dapper Dans of Livingston, New Jersey, he is singing on this album. My grandfather, as I said, couldn't remember if he was a bass or tenor, but that one of the 2 irreplaceable albums in my collection.
That's cool. Yeah, you won't be able to find that one again.
It's actually funny because of the 2 irreplaceable albums I have, when I was logging onto Discogs, I was just like, I figured this wouldn't be on there, but someone else put this on Discogs. So this album was already on Discogs somehow. I don't know. So that amazed me. But the only other irreplaceable album is from when my mom was singing in middle school choir. Their choir trip that they went to the Capitol building in D.C., that one was not on Discogs when I cataloged that one. But that's the other irreplaceable one. But This one's a little older, a little bit cooler. Only due to the fact of its age. I love both of them just as much. Don't listen to these ones that much, but you know, that's a special showing that I thought would be cool to show since we're on that, topic.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, I don't have any I don't have any records that any relatives or anything like that sang on or anything like that. So all my irreplaceable albums are just, as you know, for me, all my awesome original jazz albums. So
yeah.
Then all the albums, of course, that I got handed down to me from my parents. So other than that, for the right price, you could be talking to the right man.
I'll take one of everything.
Right. I mean, hell, for the right price. I've done it. So I've sold a bunch. But
the internet just crapped out for a second. So I actually have to edit this video now because you went out for a second.
Don't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about editing it. I never edit any of mine, so you're good.
All right, but I'm going to restate what I said anyway. So thank you, Mazzy, for the whack-a-mole. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for allowing us to do this. We want to give you the spotlight you deserve, so we're not going to do this all the time. Obviously, anybody in the VC knows that. It's your thing. We want to give you the credit, but it's just so freaking fun. Chris is back.
Mazzy, your southern bearded friend here, I will steal this idea anytime I feel like it, my friend. And you're not going to do a damn thing about it other than get on a plane from Seattle, which you can't do right now, and come down here and confront me, good old-fashioned redneck boy style. Bring it, Mazzy. Bring it.
And this is how we know that Chris had too much to drink.
Cheers, my friend. I hope you're doing great up there in the Northwest, man. Great idea. Love you.
But yeah, we love you, Mazzy. We're appreciative of your stuff. As I said, Chris cut out for a minute. I want to make sure that Chris could say what stuff he wants to say. So he's back here, thankfully. Whether I edit that stuff out, that intermission or whatever, who knows? But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Thanks to Chris for joining me, and we will see you in the next Final Record video.
Cheers, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Mike.
Absolutely.